New data today showing inflation at the wholesale level cooling off, and that's just ahead of a reading tomorrow on consumer inflation. Doug Flynn with us, Flynn Zito. Good news, right? With in terms of inflation, we want it to cool off. Seemed like the market. There's some other things we'll talk about Starbucks in a minute that people like today. But what would you say first of all about inflation?
Yeah, it's the fact that they got a year-over-year increase of only 2.2 last month. That was 2.7 year-over-year. So that's a pretty significant move, and that puts it really in line for them to start lowering the interest rates. We keep talking about it, but this is another thing that says inflation is really coming down. If you're in the low twos now on this, that's good. We're going to get our more important number tomorrow of the CPI,
right?
And we're really looking at that. Is that going to be below 3.0? The really important number to look at. Hopefully you get a two-handle on that, and then we're off to the races. Let's go already.
Yeah, let's go. And let's avoid recession, right? Because that's been the thing. This is balancing act about how much the economy's slowing, what's going on with jobs, how are they handling inflation, what's the Fed going to do next. Bank of America seems to think recession is now less likely, right? So that's interesting. Some other firms have different views, but here's the CEO, Brian Moynihan, what he had to say. Listen.
As we've won the war on inflation, it's come down. It's not where people want it yet, but we got to be careful that we don't try to get so perfect that we actually put us in recession. But our team is a great team at Bank of America Research, does not have any recession predicted anymore. Last year, this time it was a recession. This year, we talked about now there's no recession.
So they made a change, Doug. They said, as Brian Moynihan explained, they thought maybe, 2024 there would be. A lot of people did, but now they've taken it off the table. Yeah. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, all the pieces are in place for us to not have a recession. It's really now the Fed is the final piece. Do they mess up and cause us to go into recession?
Right, because it's tough to time this stuff, in fairness to them. But you're right. A lot of times they don't get it right.
Yes, a lot of times if they're delayed, if they wait too long, you can cause that by continuously slowing down the economy. And he also said, Moynihan today, that, look, the consumer in terms of spending is slowing down. Even though jobs are still okay, you can see the signs that things are slowing. Now, that will be solved with a rate cut. But if they don't do that, that's where the recession odds increase likely. So we're all looking at this. It's coming soon, and hopefully we just get it behind us so we can start talking about where we go from there.
All right, let's talk about Starbucks for a few minutes, because we can actually talk about some of the things we're talking about now with the economy as a big consumer company. But first of all, on the leadership front, it was a big headline today. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. That's why it's a big headline in terms of the timing. It kind of poached the CEO from Chipotle, well-known CEO, has been doing well over there, and put him in charge at Starbucks. Investors loved it. The stock was up a lot when I looked at it, like 20% or something like that. But let's talk about that first. What do you make of this move?
I mean, there's no question that the new CEO, while he was at Chipotle, and before that, he was at Yum Brands, which has like Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, has a proven long-term track record. And I always look at, how did they do? And you can see that. The last 5 years at Chipotle, $10,000 invested turned into over $32,000. And at Starbucks, $10,000 invested was worth less. It was worth like $8,300. So they need to get that moving. And where else do you go but someone with a proven track record in this space, not only at the previous firm, but also at the firm before that. So it makes a lot of sense for them. And that's why the stock rallied, and also why Chipotle is kind of off a little bit, because now they have to find somebody to replace someone like this who really has a great track record. So I think it's a good move for them if they want to keep moving forward. They are seeing slower sales at Starbucks in both the U.S. and China, which are their two biggest markets. So they got to shake it up, and this is a way to do it.
So how much is that an economic barometer where people say, it's expensive to get something that's extra, like a cup of coffee? In some cases, I'm going to cut back, have coffee at home myself. That's, macro story versus a Starbucks kind of execution post-Howard Schultz story. That's Starbucks' problem versus the world's problem.
Well, there's no question that the cost of Starbucks relative to other things is high when you look at it just as a coffee, but you're looking at it overall more about an experience or something that you don't want to deprive yourself of, and sometimes you need to do those things. I think that people may have slowed down some of that spending, and so you are seeing that. You're seeing it in a number of places, other fast food chains even. People are not going there as often. So I think it all speaks to the fact that people are a little bit tight. Food has gotten so expensive in the last couple of years, and so people are around the edges making some cutbacks. It's not a major cutback. It could happen if we have a recession, but obviously they think they can move this thing even further. And I talk to clients all the time. I say, look, there's going to be a point in time one day when your cup of coffee at Starbucks is going to be $10. Just like it's going to happen, just inflation. And a couple of years from now, you're going to be there. You just have to keep out earning what you're spending.
Yeah, it'll be easy. Then you'll be $200 grand a year for college. So we'll all be fine. All right. Doug, thank you, Doug. Doug Flynn there. Let's